Good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and get things going. It's 1 o'clock. I'd like to call the Erie Land Bank meeting for September 18th to order. I'd like to start off by seeking a motion to approve the agenda and the August 21st meeting minutes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That takes us to the finance report. Aaron, you going to cover that?
All right. So in front of you is the profit and loss to date as of August 2023, showing a net income of $42,086.25. The balance sheet as of August 31st has us showing a checking account balance of a little over $154,000. We have escrow of $41,503 and $13,400 in savings, with our total fixed assets as of August 31st at $1.3 million. And then attached to the back of that is the checks that were written during August of 2023. If you have any questions, I would gladly pass those on to the finance department.
I was just going to mention that as the authority, we approved purchase of a new software platform, Blackbaud, which I think that will continue as this organization becomes more sophisticated. That will increase the transparency and the accountability for funds then. So we just wanted to let you know about that as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, so yeah, I mean, Blackbaud is a fund accounting software. It's much better than QuickBooks will be. And so certainly once we get the authority over into Blackbaud, we will work. Of course, Land Bank will move over at the same time as well. But so come January 1st, that'll all be implemented and we'll be able to move forward with it at that point.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd seek a motion to approve the financials.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that takes us to citizens' comments. Any citizens wishing to comment this afternoon? Any citizens online? Have you received any questions, Aaron, from anyone?
No, we have not.
Okay. Hearing none, we will move on then to the report of the executive director and work plan updates.
All right, thank you. So just wanted to give a little update as far as the work plans that we're working through. Work plan 2022, we did finally get a deed settled on 221 Locust Street, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But so that property's finally finalized. 623 East 11th Street, we're meeting with Marsh tomorrow to go through and prepare for court on that. That was a property we entered into a relinquishment agreement with the prior owner. He failed to successfully complete the relinquishment agreement, so we're going to move forward with the condemnation of that property. 1017 German Street, if you recall, that was a property that we invited the board out to. We walked through. We were soliciting for some bids from contractors. We extended it once. We never received any bids following that date, so we're still currently evaluating that to move forward one way or another, whether we look to get some individual pricing and kind of project manage it ourselves and bring that to the board for approval, or just move forward with putting it out for developer proposals. So we're evaluating those options, and we'll have further information at a coming board meeting. Any questions on 2022? No, I didn't have Cynthia put it in there. And then 2023, we're still working through the condemnations on those. We did have 4 individuals on that list of condemnations file preliminary objections, so those court dates will be getting scheduled. And then as soon as the other ones, we have a hearing of value on the other ones, then we'll be able to move forward with evaluating those. What's that?
2023.
The 2023 work plan?
Okay, work.
Yeah, the copies weren't provided in the board packet. I can email those out later on today.
Yeah, if we could keep the updates in the packet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we go back to German Street? I just had a question on the,
Yeah.
so you put that out twice, no response. can you walk through again the next steps if we decide we do not want to rehab that ourselves?
So we can put it out for developer proposals. The problem being there is that it is a large property. It is in some disrepair as far as the back. We're not necessarily sure whether a developer would entertain demolishing the rear structure. We could demolish the rear of that structure, then put it out for developer proposals, or we could demolish the property and hold a vacant lot. The street is in fairly decent shape. There's really only one other distressed property on the street. It's a neighboring property within that block. So, I mean, there's some possibilities. You know, it was really disappointing that we didn't receive any contractor bids on it. There was some interest, we had thought, but, you know, 2 attempts and no bids, so.
And that's the property we toured, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Part of the issue does sound like there's a lack of interest due to having to pay prevailing wage.
Mm. Yeah. Major topic in the Commonwealth these days.
Okay, well, maybe you can update us on that next month. I don't know if demoing the back half would make sense, and if that would still be enough to attract someone. That would be the most cost-effective thing, or if we'd have to take the whole thing out.
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly put it out as a developer proposal with the land bank demolishing the portion of it and see if there was interest before we expended any funds on it. Did we already put it out for developer proposals?
We already received the quote for taking off the back half and shoring up the foundation and everything. So I do believe that the original developer proposal is to just rehab the inside of the house because the contractor that was going to demolish the back half is going to reside and do gutters as well.
Okay.
So we may know next month then if that's...
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that it?
That is it.
Okay. You're going to go ahead and cover solicitor's report too?
Yes. So Gene couldn't make it today, so he provided his report, which is included in the packet. December 2022 tax sale properties, quiet title petitions have been posted, advertised, and the hearing is scheduled for November. And then 519, 521 East 25th Street, the complaint and ejectment has been posted. 10-day notice was on September 5th, so we're ready to move forward with the paperwork to the court to complete the ejection of that property that was acquired at the tax sale last year.
Any questions on that? Okay. All right, I think we're ready to move on to unfinished business and new business. We have a proposal for East 24th Street.
All right, so 217, 219 East 24th Street, we received one proposal to purchase the vacant lot in the amount of $3,000. And there was an escalation up, but again, there was it's for a side lot, no past due taxes, no past due utilities, and they don't currently own any blighted properties. And it's lived next door since 1970.
So I was a little confused, the 2 different addresses. So they own the property next to them, they're not a landlord. What's the out-of-state address? Like, what's that relationship?
The buyer's address is 215 East 24th. The property in question had 2 addresses. I'm guessing it was a 2-unit before it was demolished.
No, on the,
And they're both named Bertha.
Okay.
I gotta say, Ms. Phillips is a longtime resident of the area, very instrumental in helping us clean the neighborhood up. She was very active in our Central City neighborhood watch, and I miss her dearly. But they'll take care of it, I know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
they-
yeah.
they did not do anything.
I was just curious about the address.
Yeah, because she does, her daughter doesn't actually live here, but like Paul said, I guess if they're purchasing the vacant lot, somebody will take care of it.
Okay. Well, good, I don't have any questions. That's what we like to see is homeowner have the opportunities.
Well, I move that we accept the developer's agreement as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That takes us to property updates with developer agreements.
All right. Under developer agreements, just wanted to update the board. 616 Payne, Mindy completed a final inspection at that property. So that property has been completed. We've provided them back 100% of their escrow funds at this point. So that will have a certificate of completion filed, and that we can chalk that one up to another completed property. 2624 Woodlawn has had 50% of the escrow draw given back to the developer, so they're working diligently on completing that. Still have some electrical and plumbing and such to complete on the inside, but the exterior is completed. As far as the other developer proposal or developer agreements, we're still working through several of those. There's one on 13th Street, and of course the Fairmont Parkway one that has not had any draws on his escrow payment as to date. So we'll continue to work with them and hopefully get some progress from.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. And
No,
how
sorry.
long has that one been?
What's Fairmont been?
His agreement will be up in a couple of months. He unfortunately has not made any progress
Yeah,
on
it's been a
it.
while,
We thought the $10,000 escrow was going to be the motivating
Yeah.
factor.
So a couple, we're certainly, I know we had talked to the board about deed and escrow. That's certainly something the PA Land Bank Network and Group is working on. Westmoreland County's kind of working through a deed and escrow right now. Had some conversations with their executive director as far as what they're working on, and we're really all kind of looking at Ohio as far as what they're doing. Also, another recommendation we may have is that once the developer agreement hits a year, they are in default and will relinquish their $100 or their $10,000 escrow to the land bank. So kind of put a little bit of clause in there that if they're not diligent enough, then they fail to receive their escrow payment back.
So do we ask for I guess monthly updates on all of these different properties just to kind of see where the developers are at?
It is in the agreement for updates. They're supposed to stay in communication with us. Some of them just disappear.
Okay.
Well, maybe we can get an update from our solicitor on the deed and escrow approach.
So I met with Gene, and he has a new paralegal, Melanie, who has been doing an excellent job for us. He actually hired her strictly to represent the authority and the land bank, so that his paralegal is no longer doing real estate transactions and us. So she's made huge progress in the short amount of time that she's been there, but I did meet with them last week, and that is something on their plate to take a look at to see what we could do, what the best avenue is. Everything has a different caveat to it, because if you do a deed in escrow, if somebody needs to get a loan, that can become a problem for them. And we've had, just recently, the one neighborhood group wanted to get a loan after closing. So we couldn't have done a deed in escrow for them. But maybe it shouldn't be a cookie cutter type of situation, that it needs to be identified based on the individual who's purchasing it. I don't know, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at further, and they do have that on their list of things to do.
Why would they not be able to secure financing if we're still willing to pledge the collateral through the land bank?
I know our West Bayfront was not able to do that if that was the
Have we
circumstance.
ever had that discussion with a bank?
No.
No.
Because essentially, we would be pledging it as collateral instead of the new owner. I still think there's we need to look into this further, because I don't think that would exclude us.
I know where we left it when I met with them last week was really looking at it as a land contract type situation. Because it sounds like that will give us the best of all the worlds as far as being able to transfer it to them once they're done, but them being able to continue to get financing on it and move forward that way.
We should be able to assign that deed if there's a default.
Yeah.
Okay. You make a note of that, Aaron, and
Yeah.
I would have thought the deposit would have been enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other,
No, that's it as far as developer agreements.
okay, any other properties available?
Yeah, so 1737 West Sixth Street, that is the vacant lot out there on West Sixth Street. It's been open for proposals. We kind of had a due date on it. But we received 2 proposals, but nothing was as complete as we had hoped. It's kind of our recommendation to leave it open and available through the fall and winter months in hopes that maybe there's an interested party comes, forward here later on this year that would maybe look to develop on it, next spring, summertime. We're not really in a rush to get rid of it at this point. I mean, mowing will be concluding here in the coming month, so, holding it and looking for a better proposal is not necessarily a bad thing at this point. And then,
What have the 2 proposals lacked? I guess I'd like to know what they are.
What was your question?
What, the 2 proposals you've received?
So we had asked for very specific items. Again, we want to ensure that somebody is not going to purchase the property and just sit on it, which seems to be what the majority of people wanted to do, was to basically save it for future potential. So we asked for very specific items, such as, having some kind of plan, conforming to the neighborhood. We wanted to meet all of those specifics so that we were serving the neighborhood accordingly.
Right.
And neither of the proposals gave us any of that information, and they weren't filled out completely.
Okay. I get a lot of calls on this one. I don't know about you.
It's not a matter of reach. Jake fielded hundreds of calls. I fielded a ton of calls. It wasn't a matter that people didn't know about it. It's a matter of getting people to put in some work prior to selling it to them.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of calls on that. Okay.
So I think it comes down to coming up with a plan as far as what is it, are we willing to make any compromises on what our expectations are for them to get these properties versus keeping our expectations clear and high. I mean, not unattainable by any means, but high to ensure that the land is used properly.
we know we don't want a community garden, but we also know
No.
we don't want something done to that property that wouldn't be an asset to that neighborhood, or just to, if it's gonna remain vacant, it might as well go to a side lot owner.
Correct.
I would rather it go to a neighbor instead of somebody throwing a shed on it or with the LERTA we have in place, ideally someone's gonna build
Yeah.
there. I don't
Right.
think we're ready to move from that yet, are we?
No, not at all. I'm remembering Mrs. Devlin's very specific, request to assure it's the highest and best use for real estate taxes to benefit the school district. She was
Yeah.
very abundantly clear at
Right.
the meeting when we were discussing the transfer. So I think that the authority is correct in holding this until the right proposal comes forward then.
And I think you all know our experience up at Central City. These folks get these lots and they just sit on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I don't
that's,
want to encourage somebody to flip it either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and that was kind of it. We kind of figured if we would put it out there for someone who would purchase a lot, and then we would probably see a for sale sign on it within the following months for somebody trying to flip it into somebody else. And, you know, we would lose control of the property if we didn't do our due diligence up front.
Yeah, so didn't we agree that we wanted to see the development proposal before we made any final decisions to assure that the improvements were going to be consistent with the consistent with the neighborhood, as we should in every neighborhood?
Yeah, and so I think that's our recommendation, is that we just kind of hold on to it, keep it available, and see what comes forth in the coming months. That's kind of really the same thing moving on to 221 Locust. You know, we got the deed signed over from the condominium at this point. So that's completed. It is now the land bank's property. We can demolish the structure, clean up the yard. But it is a large lot up off, you know, basically 38th and 30, it's about 36th and State area. If you're not familiar where Locust is. But it's a buildable size lot. It really could be two lots if we wanted to subdivide it back to what it originally was. But, you know, it's kind of our intent to put that out for developer proposals. I mean, was there interest from only the rear lot owner?
There are two side lot owners that put in proposals to have it as a vacant property.
So we really have, we have the option, we can give it as a side lot owner, or we could open it up for potential for a development opportunity.
I think I always gravitate towards trying to develop first, right? I mean, I think if we can do that, that's what we should be striving for with the city's LRTA. That's why we have the LRTA the way it is. You know, if a little bit of time goes by, we can't get interest in that, then, you know, we maybe then open it up to the neighbors, but I'd like to see new construction, new development. Right? Just me.
Right. Okay.
Any other business?
That is it. The only other thing I wanted to do is thank Mindy for her service to the land bank and the authority. Her last day with the authority is tomorrow. She's been a tremendous asset to the authority, and I know she has helped the land bank a great deal over the last 18 months. So we're going to miss her and her service to the land bank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. You beat me to it. Appreciate everything that you've added to this. You really helped get the land bank moving in the right direction, your information, your involvement. So wish you all the best in
Thank you.
the next step here. So
Yes, good luck, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So if there is no other business, I believe we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.